to this edition of Dustin's Kaleidoscope. I'm Dustin Dumas Weeks, and I have the pleasure of being here today with Marian Buck-Murray. You are a nutrition coach, EFT practitioner, and a bounce back expert. Thank you so much for being here today.
I'm so happy to be here.
First of all, can you explain to us what your titles are and what they mean?
Okay. Well, I'm a nutrition coach,
Okay.
which means I help people understand how to eat to feel better, really. It's understanding which foods do what, why you might feel one way when you eat a certain type of food, and if you want to feel better, which foods to eat. So that's what I do with nutrition. And then with EFT, I'm an EFT, certified EFT practitioner. EFT is a tapping technique.
What does EFT stand for?
Thank you. EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques.
Okay.
And it is a meridian tapping technique. It's tapping on the face, the hand, and the torso points, a few, not very many points. And as you tap on them, if you're feeling some uncomfortable emotion, fear, anxiety, stress, things like that, it taps into it and actually disrupts the feeling and helps to release it. So it's a very effective method for reducing stress, pain, fear, limiting blocks and beliefs. I mean, it's pretty amazing. And it's very quick as well.
And by quick, is it like a typical 30 minutes from a massage that you would typically have for a massage?
Right.
Is it 60 minutes? Is it 45? Or how?
When I have a
depend?
session with a client, I work for an hour. And in that hour, somebody would come to me with an issue, something going on, like what are we going to work on this week? And I ask the client to say, okay, where are you feeling it in your body? What's the intensity? And I ask some questions. And after that, then we do the tapping. And what's quick about it is that you can do 1 round or 2 rounds of the tapping, and whatever the feeling is has changed. So it's very quick in the sense that you can have very quick results with something like anxiety, because just the tapping itself helps to reduce cortisol and helps to release, and helps to calm the fight or flight response that people are feeling when they're under stress.
So how, for the person who is not familiar with EFT, how is it different from traditional massage?
It's different because you're using words. So as you tap, you talk about the problem that you're facing. So for example, if it's a phone call that you don't want to make because maybe you're afraid to get news from a doctor, or you're afraid to speak to a family member because they might get upset about something that you're about to say. And so you feel nervous, you don't want to make the phone call, and you're putting it off. Okay. So in that example, you would start on what's called the karate chop point and start tapping and say, even though I'm afraid to make this phone call, I completely accept myself and how I feel.
And so are you doing this, am I on my back, or am I on my stomach? How?
No, the client is sitting up. So sometimes
really?
I work with clients in my office, other times I work on Skype. So when I work with a client, I will, after we talk, I will use what the client has told me. It's the client's words.
Okay.
And I start, and then the client repeats what I'm saying. So we're both tapping. I don't tap on my clients. The client is tapping. And so...
Can you explain what tapping is? Because
Yes. Okay, so tapping means that you're tapping on different points. And this is the first point. It's the karate chop point.
Okay.
And that's where you start with whatever problem you have, and then you accept the problem.
Okay.
And you say a statement 3 times, just as you're tapping. So whatever it is, even though I'm afraid to make the phone call, I accept myself.
Okay.
Then you go to the other points. And the first point is the eyebrow point, which is right here, using about 2 fingers, just tapping there 6 or 7 times. And you might say something like, afraid to make the phone call. And then you go to the side of the eye, which is right here on the bone, afraid to make the phone call. Under the eye, on the bone, afraid to make the phone call. Under the nose, right between the lip and the nose, afraid to make the phone call. Chin, like between the lip and the chin, afraid to make the phone call. Collarbone point, it's easier to do this. And afraid to make the phone call. Under the arms,
Okay.
and top of the head. So that is what is called a round, or the
Okay.
basic recipe. There are those points, and the recipe of saying the statement, and then saying something as you're tapping on the points to remind you, to keep you tuned in, really.
Okay.
You can do it without talking, but the talking helps to tune into whatever the problem is.
So this is something that you would do with your clients over Skype, because you don't need to actually physically touch them.
Right, right.
And is there something physiologically like happening that reduces the cortisol, as you mentioned, and has some other physical effects on the client?
Well, it's moving energy, so it's based on Chinese acupuncture. So it's the idea that if you are feeling something uncomfortable, something that you don't want to feel, pain, anything, there's a disruption, there's an energy disruption somewhere in your body.
Okay.
What the tapping does is gets to the points are specific points that have been shown to have the most access to, the energy flows. So when you tap on them, you're actually getting into wherever the energy disruption is. I don't know if it's something we can see or not, but it gets in there and sort of disperses it. It's like you could think of maybe a little bubble that the tapping just kind of comes in and breaks it open.
Okay.
And so as that happens, a client might feel the release of the stress. They might cry because emotion can come up. They might feel energy just going through their body. Every client is different, depending upon who they are.
And it's all based on what they specifically would like to, what the outcome they would like.
It's
If
based
a
on,
call, or maybe they're nervous about going to a doctor or
right.
giving a speech or whatever it is.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So it's they come with whatever it is that they want to work on, and then my client will come with that, and then after talking about it, and we so it's like cleaning out the dirt from a wound.
Okay.
So people like I don't know if you're familiar with the law of attraction or affirmations. All these things say, only focus on the positive. Well, what this does is it goes in and it kind of gets the dirt out, so that then you can start putting on the affirmations, if you will, that feel right at that point.
Okay.
Because if you said to yourself, okay, I'm going to make this phone call and I feel great about it, when you don't, it's like you're almost lying to yourself.
Okay.
So what the tapping does is it releases, it deactivates. It's a deactivator. It neutralizes that feeling so that you don't feel the same way, and it's much easier then to start saying, this is going to be easy, or I'm going to feel confident, So
it's a nice mechanism to give you that confidence in whatever it is you want to do. But it also, from what I understand, there's a physical thing that happens within the body that also makes it easier for you to do whatever the task is you're reluctant to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
so
right.
I know part of your practice is the EFT
Right.
technique, but also another part of your practice is nutrition.
Yes.
And one of the big reasons I was very attracted to your background was that you not only help people who are sick, but you help in preventing people get sick. In other words, you help them maintain a healthy eating habits.
Yes.
So could you go through specifically like what types of people you work with?
Yes. I've had a lot of illness in my life. For the past over about a span of 25 years, I had 2 autoimmune illnesses and 2 heart surgeries and complications from heart surgery.
Okay.
And I'm very healthy. So all of this has gone on, and yet I'm very healthy, and part of that is because I eat very well, and I've really gotten into the things to keep me healthy.
Okay.
But having gone through all of that, I really understand what it's like to go, to have surgery and have to come out of it, and you feel very tired, you're just pushed off track. And that's what I really specialize in, is helping people in that place of, okay, the doctor says I'm okay, but I don't really feel back to normal yet.
Okay.
And the reason people don't feel back to normal is it's a variety of things, from the medications, from the procedures, there's a number of things that come up when somebody is either sick or goes through a stressful event that will push them off track. So using foods to get the energy back, to get digestion back, to really help a person feel better, stronger, build immunity.
And how long, when did you start in the nutrition-based aspect of your practice? And
About 7 years ago, I guess it was. And, I went to culinary school at the Natural Gourmet,
Okay.
and so I had chef's training, but I really wanted to help people know how to use food to help themselves feel better. And so I went further, and I went to the Academy of Healing Nutrition, which where I learned a lot about actually Chinese medicine and some of the herbs and things used. And then I also have a certification from the American Association of Nutritional Consultants.
Okay. We have about 30 seconds left, so I want you to hold your next thought, and
Okay.
we'll come right back, and then you can tell us about some of the things that you
Okay.
have on the table.
That's great.
So you're looking at Dustin's Kaleidoscope, and we will be back in a short minute.
Local government, local educational institutions, and local community members all use cable access TV to communicate their message. They depend upon it as an affordable means of outreach. Public educational and government access television empowers local government agencies, individuals, and groups to use the media to speak directly to their constituents in a more direct and cost-effective way. Make sure everyone has a voice. Support your local PEG channels.
And welcome back to Dustin's Kaleidoscope. We were in the middle of discussing nutrition, and I've noticed that you have brought quite a few things for us to learn about. Can you take us through what you have on the table?
Yes. Okay. So I'll start with some of what I call the alkalizers. Okay, alkaline foods are foods that help to shift the body from a more acid state to a more alkaline state. Okay, so it's just really understanding that you really want to be a little more alkaline than acid, because
And why
acid.
is that?
Why?
Yes.
Because when you have too much acid in your system, you can feel sick. It's easier to get sick. You're much more susceptible to illness. You could feel foggy-minded, tired. When you have too much acid in your system for example, if you go out to eat,
Yes.
and you're out late, and you eat a lot of, you have some foods that you don't normally have, some desserts, some wine, some coffee,
yes.
all of those things, they're very acid forming. So the next day, even if you didn't have any alcohol, you might wake up and feel, oh, I'm kind of foggy-minded, I'm a little bit off. And so when somebody's been sick, a lot of times there's too much acid in the system just from either the medications or some of the foods that they've been eating. So what is really great are there some foods that are very alkalizing that people can use and pretty quickly to kind of shift their bodies back into a more alkaline state.
So would you recommend having if you plan on going out to eat, would you recommend having these foods, a little bit of them before, so you can sort of counteract, or after?
That's helpful, and then afterwards as well.
Okay.
So one of the things, not everybody likes this, but some people do, is a green drink. So, there are many different brands, but it's a green powder that has a lot of, it's a superfood. Okay. So it's dehydrated, pulverized greens, kale, seaweeds, algae, all types of things.
Okay.
And it's very alkalizing. And so it will really help to, make you feel less tired, less foggy, very clarifying. This is chlorella, and you can get chlorella at the health food store. I buy chlorella online because I like this product. But chlorella is an algae, and it's very good for it detoxifies the body. So it sort of grabs a hold of things that you don't want and draws them out of the system. And so if you are eating too many junk foods or bad foods, chlorella is a very good thing to help get what you don't want in your body out of your body.
Okay.
And it's also very good for constipation. So anybody who's been sick or stressed, a lot of times constipation is something that comes up a lot. So,
and that's, you mentioned earlier that you help people who have had illnesses and are on medications, and I know that with a lot of medications that may be a side effect.
Yes.
And so that would probably help.
Yes, the chlorella and also the aloe juice. So aloe vera juice is something I have in my refrigerator always, because it's very good for constipation, but it's also very good for if you have too much acid, heartburn or anything like that, is a sign that you've eaten too many acid-forming foods.
Oh, okay.
It's not necessarily spicy, it's acid-forming. So the aloe vera juice is very alkalizing, but it's very soothing.
Okay.
So it's
like coating your stomach or helping digest.
It's really, really, really wonderful, and it's good for a lot of things. So it's good to have around.
And all of these things you ingest.
Yes.
You're not applying them topically or anything like the aloe vera. I know some people might think, oh, am I supposed to rub it on my stomach? But all three of the things that you've just mentioned, you would drink them.
Yes, and this is actually aloe vera juice.
Okay.
So the gel is what you would use topically, and the aloe vera juice you can drink.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And then seaweed. This is nori seaweed, and nori is, of course, what's on sushi. And so most people are okay with it. It's not, there are a lot of seaweeds, and they all range in flavor. But they're very alkalizing, they're very detoxifying, which is always a good thing when you're trying to recover from anything. So with nori, you just take a sheet of nori and,
And just like eat the
Well,
whole
you don't
thing,
eat
or?
it. If I can get a sheet out of here and show you. You take a sheet, and I have tongs, okay? So you take tongs and you just fan it over the flame on the, I have a gas stove, so just fan it over the flame on the stove. And it begins to crinkle up a little bit, burn it, and then just rip it up and eat it as a snack. It's delicious.
Okay. I'll have to try another brand. I've tried it before, and I think I may have had a brand that wasn't as good, but go ahead.
Yeah.
Like you said, they all have different flavors.
Right.
So these things can also be eaten. You focused a little bit on how these help with specific illnesses, but anyone can have any of these foods at any time. If you're perfectly healthy, I'm assuming that they would probably help keep you healthy.
Yes, and that's the goal, is to really, when somebody's getting over something, they might need more.
Okay.
And do it more regularly.
Okay.
But on a daily basis, it's good to you have to have greens. You have to have alkalizing foods. So things like easy greens. Sometimes you can just buy some greens in a package.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Baby greens.
Yes.
And they're quick to throw on the stove or just to eat raw.
Okay.
Adding green wherever you can to your diet, whether it's with seaweed or with a green drink or with chlorella or with greens. Green is alkalizing, and green is one of the best things that you can eat, really, really
Okay.
more green.
So I'm surprised to see the lemon there because you talk about the acid, but citrus fruits, aren't they very acidic?
It's confusing. Acid to taste, lemon to taste is very acid, and it can actually, it can corrode the enamel on your teeth. It's acid.
Mm-hmm.
However, what it does in the body, once you metabolize it, it's alkalizing. It forms an
Oh.
alkaline ash. So the way that they test foods, I'm actually not sure how they do it, but they look at the ash that
okay.
that's metabolized, and they can tell how acid forming a food is or how alkaline it is. And so a lemon is actually very alkalizing.
That's good to know because I don't think a lot of people would know that.
No, and so what you do is you can squeeze some into some water and drink it. That's going to help give you sort of an alkalizing shift. It will help lift your energy. And then just be mindful to brush your teeth after you've had a lot of
So your
lemon.
teeth won't.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So that you do it. There's that caveat. But lemon is a really easy thing, and people can have lemons in there.
Okay.
I always try to recommend things that are easy to buy and easy to have on hand.
Yeah, all of these things that you have on the table can be found at either a health food store or at a regular store, especially the greens and the.
Yeah, mostly everything
yes.
except for a couple things over there.
Yes,
But,
and so I don't want us to run out of time.
Okay.
So tell us a little bit more about the other.
all right,
products.
so ginger tea, of course, is very good for digestion. It's good, it's warming. It's a really good tea to have when you've been sick.
Okay.
I had the flu over the holidays, and I had a lot of ginger tea, and it really helped me.
Okay.
Tulsi tea is a tea that helps to reduce cortisol. It's
Oh, really?
very
Okay.
calming. So it's a wonderful tea to have when you're feeling anxious. It's a good tea to have at work if it's a stressful work environment or any kind of work environment. And it reduces stress, but it doesn't make you sleepy.
Okay.
So it's really good tea to have. It's very nourishing. This is kombucha, and kombucha is a probiotic drink.
Okay.
And I have my miso over here. Miso is also probiotic. What that means is it has beneficial microflora, beneficial bacteria. When somebody's been sick, and actually most people don't have enough beneficial bacteria in their gut, in the intestinal, in the intestines. So what these foods do is they help to repopulate, with good bacteria. And what the good bacteria do is they get rid of the germs, the things that you don't want.
Okay.
And so that it's very good for just digestion, but also for detoxifying the body and for immunity.
Okay. So I don't want us to run out of time. I noticed there's another plate over there.
Okay. This plate. I try to put them all on the same plate. These are foods that aren't so nourishing. And they're not terrible. It's not to say you can never, ever have it, but people...
Oh, can you lift it up just a little bit so that we can get in the
which
view of
way?
the can? Is this, I think, right
Like
there?
that?
Yes.
Yeah.
That should be good.
It's not to say never to have these foods.
Okay.
But some people think that these foods are really good for them. And so I'm going to, unfortunately...
The rice
say
cake.
something different.
No.
The rice cake. And the rice cake, it's tasty and all of that. And even if it's made from brown rice, it's so processed that it's actually pretty high glycemic.
Really?
And
Okay.
so you can eat it and feel very tired, spacey. I told my husband that one time. He used to eat them when he was driving up to his father's house.
Uh-huh.
And he's like, that's why I feel so tired. And he stopped eating them. It's not to say never have them, but they are high glycemic. Okay, a
We have
roll.
1 minute, so I'm going to have you go through each of those pretty quickly.
Okay, white white bread and even wheat can be very hard to digest, but certainly stay away from white flour. Diet soda has aspartame in it.
Okay.
And aspartame's just not good.
Okay.
And orange juice. Orange juice.
What's wrong with orange juice?
A little bit of orange juice is fine. It's just that lots of juice has lots of sugar.
Okay.
And so to drink it thinking that you're really doing something good for yourself, you're better off having some other foods and maybe a piece of fruit
Okay.
because it's very concentrated sugar.
Right.
So.
Marian, thank you so much for being here. Before you go, can you please let us know how people can contact you? Do you have a website?
Yes, my website is www.goodfoodsolutions.com.
Okay, www.goodfoodsolutions.com.
Yes, yes.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I've enjoyed talking to you. I wish we had more time. You'll have to come back and visit us because I'd love to find out a little bit more about the other products
Yes,
that you have on
yeah.
there. Thanks
Okay.
again.
All right.
Thanks. This is it for this episode of Dustin's Kaleidoscope. I hope that you will come back.